if you guys know Karla Sofia Garcon, she's been nominated for Best Actor. There's been all this stuff that's been happening. Of course, they've got all these Oscar nods for Amelia Perez over on Netflix. If you haven't seen it yet, Netflix was putting all this stock into this project. This is a big thing, and they were really pushing for it. Nominations, and then all the old tweets came out. And this is what happens sometimes, and I feel like I was telling GR about this. If you guys haven't heard anything about this, now, Gascon, of course, is a lead in this. Very big part of this, the big push for the project being the very first transgender nomination for Best Actor. You know, it's a big thing. Best Actress, of course. And it's like a big project here. Netflix spent a lot of money. They've been pushing. They put billboards of her face everywhere, and they were super excited. Everyone's saying this is her year. This movie is going to be fantastic for Netflix. Big nominations. And then those tweets came out, and the tweets really are from years ago. This thing has 13 Oscar nods, by the way. 13. From years ago, though, where she was calling out, again, about what was happening at the Oscars before, about ethnicities being that there's different people getting the nominations that shouldn't be. We've heard that. A lot of people have complained about that over the years. I don't think that's as bad. Of course, there's the George Floyd stuff she was saying about George Floyd being a murderer and a druggie, and, that's made a lot of people go crazy about it. But there's also, there's also that, GR. But there's also on top of that, too, when she was talking about 9/11 and talking about how there were a bunch of Muslim people cheering on the towers falling down. Which, again, this was happening at a time where, it was before she said she was a different person and all that. And she said that the biggest thing is that she felt like that Twitter at the time, now it's X, was her, diary. It was her diary, and she could write whatever she wanted, and it wouldn't be a big problem. And I said this. So there's a lot of things. We had this conversation a little bit earlier about this. The director totally distanced himself from her. Totally, we're done. Netflix will only talk through her agent now. They won't speak to her directly because she started attacking these people online. Karla Sofia Garcon. If you haven't seen, Amelia Perez is blowing up right now. Again, 13 Oscar nods right now. I know I didn't hear about this movie at first. When it got on my radar, I was like, okay, Selena Gomez is in it too. And Selena Gomez came forward and said it's unfortunate about this whole thing, but she still wouldn't have stopped making this movie. She said she'd make it again if she could. But the thing is about this, what it comes down to, and I was telling GR about this earlier, when this kind of drama happens, the biggest thing you could do, especially as an actor, is take a second, talk to your PR people, talk to Netflix, and be like, how do we handle this? And, apologize, studio, whatever you gotta do, talk to the studio. There's different things you gotta do. Now, she just started blasting people, which, again, I get it. I could be like that too, you want to defend yourself. But I think that broke the chain of command, and a lot of people at Netflix were mad about it, and now they're taking her off all the billboards. Everyone's saying that her career is done. Also, on top of that, they're taking her away. They're apparently not going to show up to any of the award shows now because of this. And there's actors that are standing up for her, and there's a lot of people who are just distancing themselves against because they don't want to be brought into this whole different world. And of course, tweets were leading. Selena Gomez is in it. Yes, Selena Gomez is in it. And I watched part of the movie. It's good. It's all right. I wasn't super excited about it, but I do know a lot of people have been thrilled about it. And it's done really great. But when you're an actor, this comes down to that conversation we were just having about your words sometimes, and studios and the business and how the business can respond to certain things and how it becomes a distancing thing because you're worried about backlash. We've been in that world for a long time in Hollywood. We just have. It's unfortunate, but it's what it is. Your words can kill your career. It's happened to a lot of people. And for her, I don't know if her career's done, but I do know it's going to take a second. And I feel like this will blow up and it will dust over eventually. But I think when it comes to the Oscar season, there was so much into this, GR, because again, it was the idea of how this was so many different people from all walks of life in this movie, and also the performances are phenomenal. They thought this was going to be a big deal at Netflix. Spent a lot of money, a lot of time on it, and I think the chain of command was broken, and that's why they got mad. But then again, people are very sensitive about some of these topics. They are. It's a tough conversation sometimes. I think she should have talked to Netflix first. You got a PR person, talk to your PR person. Hold off from tweeting. I mean, I get it. It's easy to do. Or Xing, whatever you call it, slapping the bass on the keyboard, whatever you call it these days. I don't know. But take a breath. Take a minute before you delve in, because your words can kill your critic. It's happening to her right now. Angela, what do you think? Can she come back from this? And can she win Best Actress still?
Well, I mean, it's always interesting knowing that she's already, this person's a trans person, right? And
yes,
also has made these tweets or whatever. And I think again, it's always, when you're in this industry to some extent, I mean, yeah, certain people I feel like can be vocal, right? But it's also, it puts you in a tough spot if you're an actor or whatever, unless you're like some super high power, even if you're like super high powerful, like Mel Gibson, look at what happened with him when he got really religious and started talking, and I actually,
crazy shit,
a lot of things about Mel Gibson I think are really great, right? But that's but besides the point. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's about like, at the end of the day, it does start to affect their career, because it's sort of like zip your lip and only like be a creative and do what you're supposed to do there, but like don't really have I guess they're trying to say like don't have a stance, don't say what you want to. I have a mixed feeling about that whole thing. I mean, there's, I guess you have to start putting, it's like, do we not inject our personal beliefs, or do we just start doing what's best for like business type stuff? You kind of have to look at it. I guess there's a couple different things going on there. And it's not easy for everybody, because a lot of people want to mix their personal beliefs with this type of situation, and, with what's going on with this actress, what have you. And I mean, it's tough. I don't think that, I think that when this happens, companies want to distance themselves. I mean, and especially the fact that this person identifies as being a trans person, they're kind of even being like, rejected by their own community. That's not good, right? So if you're going to be in a community, you want to have that community around you. But this isn't anything new. I mean, there are trans people that have gone out there talking about how this is like something they wish they never did, and that's a whole nother thing. And they go on and talk about how like, whatever. So I don't know. There's a lot of nuances here with that stuff that I won't really delve into on here. But in terms of how this is going to like, I don't know. I mean, you really got to be careful what the heck you put on Twitter. I mean, I think everyone's kind of like looking at this from, just from the past. And it's like, it's shit you put online or in any way, anything we do here, wherever, comes back to get you. It comes back to bite you. Nothing really is ever really deleted. If somebody wants to come find it, they're going to go find it and they're going to get it. So I don't know what's going to happen for this individual. But, I will say that there's a lot of people out there that, also have their similar belief systems. So, I mean, maybe they'll advocate for this person. I don't know. I mean, I can't say that everything that she's tweeted isn't correct necessarily about certain. I mean, in terms of like some of the stuff, like I can't say that. I mean, I think it's more about what is acceptable in public opinion. But I can't, there's just a lot of different things going around. But when you're I think one of the biggest things is that when you're in an election year and like Oscar time is coming, I mean, this is not. They don't like stuff like this. This is not an acceptable.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like Netflix too is just freaking out about it because again, I think it's also the money they put into it. They put a lot of money into like the billboards and the DVDs and pushing it, and it's like. But I also say this like. Well, where were they at? Where were their team like even like looking into this at all if they were going to have a problem with her? You know what I mean? Like there was no team looking into this stuff. Like you put that time.
Well, they do, but some of those they dismiss them.
Yeah, you think that's what this was.
Yeah, I mean, I work with Netflix. I work with Netflix, and they don't. I mean, it's like not that it's, but unlike other studios, I mean, immediate respond to backlash is like they've remained quiet because, and I don't always think that's a good thing because remaining quiet also says something. That's being quiet 100%. says a position, right?
Yeah.
Being one that works in that space, I mean, it says something if you say nothing at all. But there's a lot of different tactics that you can try and go with, but surprisingly enough, I thought they may say something, but it does touch upon a bunch of different areas that Netflix obviously makes money in. So it's going to be.
Can she still win Best Actress? What do you think? Can she still win?
I don't know. I don't think so. And I mean,
I don't think it'll happen.
And I mean, I'll be honest. I think there's a lot of people that have a very like. There's also a lot of like, mixed feelings now in our climate about like the transgender issue and having people in the female bracket that are trans, right? There's just like in sports, there's the same thing with this type of stuff where it's like, is this the appropriate area? That stuff's talked about a lot lot too. It's been
a big thing lately, but it's just like it's just a crazy thing.
It becomes like it's fair to other people.
I don't think the fact that she's transgender has anything to do with what she did. She took her mouth, opened it, and put both feet in it. And her career, Brian, and the question you asked earlier, her career has one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. That's just done.
I think the only place it's relevant, the only place it seems relevant is if it would save her.
Yeah.
Would her status mean that maybe people are a little more forgiving of what's widely being accepted as racist comments? The Oscars are too political. She's unknown. Then she's in an Oscar contender, and so the first thing people find out about her is she's in an Oscar contender, and all we know is that she's a racist. Is the way to look at it. So being so political, it seems like that probably screwed the odds of
all eyes are on you at that point too, especially in the situation when you're nominated for for the top billing like that. All eyes, and 13 nominations, like one of the biggest ones ever for Netflix. I know people said they never heard about it in the chat, but this is like the one thing I didn't hear about this the first two, but everyone's raving about this movie. 13 noms.
By the way, this is something that's it's got different reasons for being controversial in the Spanish market, because they hired several people who are not native speakers, who are not native Mexican speakers, even if you're talking about Selena Gomez and Zoe Saldana. Like, Selena Gomez is like me, like she's a Texican, She doesn't speak the best Spanish. So that's one of those things that there was heavy criticism for that, but the American market doesn't notice. So this kind of it seems like it came out of nowhere, and then people paid attention once the awards happened, probably because Netflix vied so hard for those awards and knew what boxes to check. But for movie watchers, it seems like a surprise. It seems like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it does. A lot of people are saying that too. But I read in the chat too, yes, Best Actress she's nominated for. That's why this was such a big deal right now. They're really pushing it. And the rest of the cast too were really pushing it. And again, you're saying the controversy. They won first.
That's the thing that, guys, remember, Oscars are super political. Don't get me wrong. Not that, I have not watched this movie. I kind of don't really want to, based on a lot of those things going on. But I maybe because I want to see this performance, see if it earned that. This person may do an excellent job acting, and so if they were qualified on their own, fantastic. But in recent years, the Oscars, ever since the Oscars So White problem, which by the way, they had a lot of Hispanics nominated that year also, which was ignored largely, they've been trying to do a lot of firsts. They've been trying to make sure that their nominations are extra inclusive. And now, some of these things are getting highlighted, and it's unfortunate because then you wonder, does this person deserve to be nominated, or were they checking a box?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. What do you think, Val? Are they checking a box, or do you think? Did you see the movie Amelia Perez? I know everyone's talking about it. I mean, people haven't heard though.
I have not seen it. The closest I've gotten to seeing it was I watched a clip from Trixie and Katya's podcast, The Bald and the Beautiful, where they were talking about they both watched it, and they were like, as two people who are both in the gay community and drag queens, they were like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. So I can't say, how it is.
Well, no, I can't go see it because I couldn't argue with that.
They were referencing specifically that there was I don't know, some type of a musical, a really upbeat musical number, just in the middle, someplace where it didn't fit or it didn't.
Oh, we're watching the Joker too, are we?
I think it's very much like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, you know, it's unfortunate. I mean, I wish that there could be, like, just in general, more trans people that are just getting roles as people and not it being so focused on the fact that they're trans people and then them getting recognized for that work. But I know that that's the point of this movie, and you know, even if it's not the best movie, whatever, I don't know. But yeah, I think that this is definitely gonna, in some ways, you know, hurt her chances at getting Best Actress.
Do you agree with GR that she's got that foot in the banana peel and she's done? Valerie?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the things that she said, I'm like, yeah, that's not a good look. Not a good look at all.
Yeah.
Tough.
I think it just comes down to what we were saying too. It's like, you know, in this situation, everything seems like it's going right. Things are ignored, but you're in this spot. And I think that if you do stuff like this and you say things like people are looking at politics are crazy at the Oscars, like Allie was saying, politics are nuts. And they always say every year they're making it better, but do they really? Like, who is the Academy? Who are these people? Is like, they're like faceless, shadowy people out there that are nominating and taking care of this. Like, who are they? Please step forward out of the shadows and show your faces. I want to see who these people are. You know,
everybody does, Brian. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, they've got like somebody's like, oh, let's just concentrate on making good movies. I'm sure they tried to. I'm sure they thought they were putting their best foot forward, right? Like they tried to do this thing and be inclusive and tell a story that was a little bit different, and like it didn't catch everyone's attention, but they got a certain amount of attention. But then they did other things, like I said, like they didn't get native Spanish speakers. There was people who went through several rounds of auditions doing acting, dancing, singing. Guess what? People like, this is stuff that I heard secondhand from people who auditioned for the movie. Selena Gomez wasn't in those auditions. They picked somebody who was a little more famous, who can't speak as good of Spanish, because they thought they'd get some more eyes on it. Same
that's what they do, though.
I think. And that's part of what they do, and it's a shame because I think in some of those instances, like that's not this character, but in some of those instances they like tried to pad the whole thing a little bit, and all in all, maybe they didn't make the best movie they could, or maybe this is as good as it possibly could have been.
Yep. And that's all you can ask for sometimes, is the best we can make it. You know, put it out there and hope. And I think Netflix just had a lot of stock in this. They really thought this is the bee's knees. I hope that everybody that actually like
money.
I do think that it's about checking boxes. This is the Oscars are political. There is much
always.
There is much about it's like Oscar campaigns are as much about PR as they are about talent. So a controversy like this can derail an entire campaign, right? So, I mean, you know, I think that a streaming giant like Netflix doesn't want to risk its, standing by backing a controversial figure in an election year, Oscar race. So they're just not going to do that. Wouldn't happen. But yeah, I do think that this checks boxes for, diversity, all the other things, obviously, that they want to do. So, I mean, I don't know. Is it about talent sometimes? When I see some of these films and people, I don't care where they're from or what their background, it's like, some are, like, I don't know. It's not, to me, it's nothing.
Performance matters. That's what I always say. Performance.
It doesn't always seem to be that way anymore. It seems like it's just like we're checking boxes. I mean, sure, some of them, yes, I will say, but a lot of times I've seen a lot of just like like performances that I've seen better, and it's subjective to people, but it is, to me, it's like checking boxes. So, I
mean, it's funny. It's like even like in the smaller background world, if you see some of their breakdowns, they'll have every ethnicity kind of broken down and numbers next to how many they have to have for that day to check literally all the boxes, which is kind of a thing that happens. But like, then again, in those situations, it should be based off of like where you at, what location, you know what I mean? Make sure that we have it based off of what our actual plot is. You know what I mean? That makes sense to me. Then you have to make sure that you fit a certain world for that. I just think this sucks. This was like a big opportunity, and it still is. It's still a big movie. People are still talking about. I think it's going to win some Oscars. I just think that it sucks because it was one of those things people were like raving about, like, oh, we actually have a talent that came forward that is showcasing this, that is like drawing attention to this world and showcasing that, look how great she is, you know? And now because of, again, your words and putting your foot in your mouth, that banana peel, like GR says, that kind of goes to the wayside, you know, and I hope that it doesn't. That's the politics of it. GR.
It seems like a lot of people have been putting their foot in their mouths for a long time.
Oh, always.
This isn't the
Who
first
comes
time.
back?
I mean,
who comes back first? Her or Will Smith? Who does the Oscars bring back first? Her or Will Smith? Who gets it?
Will Smith.
You think Will Smith? He's got like 5 years banned or something like that.
Will Smith has talent.
There's people in the comments talking about the Mexican film industry. It is not the same as up here. I have met people who are stars in Mexico and still can't break in up here. And also, there's still a representation problem because they tend to, like, the American market expects Mexican to be really brown. You know, I mean, very, just very brown. It's not inclusive necessarily of the whole spectrum of what is Mexican. And then, like, in Mexico, they go very light. They go very European ancestry for the people that they make really famous for the most part.
Like me. So they don't
like, very representing. Like, I mean,
but what you're saying, Allie, is so true. I spent a summer
I hit like the Spanish side of it. Like other people, I hit. There's so many different versions of what it is. Like,
But I was lost in Mexico City once, and I looked up and I saw a blonde woman standing across the street, and I thought, aha, I'll go ask her. And I walked up and asked her, and she turned around and was talking 100 miles an hour that I got like every 14th word. You know. But I was 17. 16. I didn't know the Castilians were actually still here, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up, Pepe. but what you said, Allie, is so true. I mean,
tell me more.
What Hollywood depicts is like the Mexican person, the Spanish. You know what I mean? Like it's
they're like, like the person who's generally what you think of as like a laborer, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And then the polar opposite over there. But again, like I'll say this again for the people in the back. I've gone to like acting classes and met quite a few people who try to come up from Mexico who have real credits in Mexico, who to Mexicans are famous and they can't break in over here. Not because of a lack of talent, like, you know, maybe they just don't know the ropes, I don't know, but like they would rather be working here and they would get paid better here.
Oh, yeah. And get into the union and start getting union wages and start making that kind of money and getting royalties as long as they last, because those are disappearing more and more, you know, and make that money.
And we kind of just see the same. I mean, it's just, remember, it's like when they, it's like when Hollywood takes a gamble on someone, they kind of, and they break in, right? Like, let's say, you know, like Ana de Armas, right? Or something, like when she came in, it was sort of like, okay, we made her come, she's got this like look, we're gonna make her and just mold her and get this, you know, get her, just blow her up, and then they kind of stick around for a while, right? Like the Nicole Kidmans, which yes, she's a great actress, whatever, but there's a million people. I wouldn't say million. There's a lot of talented people out there that could fill her shoes. Like absolutely, like there are. Like Allie's saying, there's people in Mexico. There's amazing actors that just you can't. The crossover is extremely hard. I mean, it's even hard here when you know people and you have talent and you have stuff. I mean, firsthand, you know, I've had deals on the table that got screwed because of just, I mean, the fact that someone's attorney came in and said, nope, you're not going to get rid of this person because even if the directors and the producers wanted that person off of the show, they didn't get off the show because there had been legal issues. So then I was out of a gig and it sucks. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that come into play, right? And it's just, It's not
But
easy.
we love the business. We love the business, but it sucks sometimes.
It really, really sucks. Yeah, that's why you see people that are like, this guy that I'm like on that is a Facebook friend and stuff. Like he's in New York and he's an actor and he's been doing this since 19, and he just got the biggest commercial role with Ryan Reynolds with his production commercial with new
that commercial that just came out, right?
The commercial that was just out with him. He's like wearing a racing suit, and he's it was not Mint Mobile, but his Maximum Effort. And so he got that commercial and it changed everything for him. And I mean, he's been in the industry acting for like ever, right? And this was first commercial from 20 years old to 46. Like that's how long it can take even longer for people, if ever. So
look at Morgan Freeman. He was like 50 when he first made it. Morgan Freeman was trying for like 20 or 30 years and then finally he made it. It can happen.
Like my cousin. She was in Batman films. She was in King of Queens. She was older though. She in Family Man. She was in the movie Family Man. Is the mother. I mean, she's been in a bunch of different, 90210. Like she was in a bunch of stuff. But she was in things throughout her career, but more prominently in her later years before she passed. She was in a bunch of stuff. So. You don't know when you're calling or when it can happen.
Well, sometimes they need old people like us. Yeah.
And when they call, GR, you better answer that phone.
Yeah.
You better answer that phone.
Right.
Maybe I'll answer both of them. Hello.
Well, I just don't know about her coming back. I think this is like a big scar on her career right now. It's unfortunate. It's just because the Oscars are what they are. She's stepping away from everything. She said she won't go to the award shows. If she wins, she won't be there for it. But I think there is a chance she could win some before this happened. But I don't know. We'll see. Because when people vote, they vote. That's it, right? Or they change things. I don't know. But I feel like the Oscars kind of off the books for her. I think it's not going to happen. I don't know.
It's not.
Yeah, we'll see.
I probably think it's a no.
I'd be very surprised.
Valarie, are people going to still watch this movie?
If they've heard the things I've heard, probably not. I will say really quick though, I've also seen a lot of people that were especially upset that this movie specifically got so many Oscar nominations and Challengers didn't. I don't know if any of you watched Challenger. But
I didn't see. I heard good things about it. Zendaya, right?
yeah, it was really good. I liked it. It was good movie.
Looks like Zendaya is getting like a little freaky, and Tom Holland's probably not happy about that.
Gosh.
He's like, hey, he put a ring on her after that. He's like, I'm marrying you. We're done.
Ryan,
We're done.
Where she gets freaky might see how Tom feels about it.
That's very true. That's very true.
It was his, like, the nail in the coffin of like him proposing. He was like, okay, it's time. It's time.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm getting in there. We're over this. We're done with this. But we'll see what happens with Amelia Perez, guys. The whole movie moving forward. 13 nominations. Oscars are coming up before you know it, and only time will tell if they get those wins. Still, I don't know. We'll see. I think it's changed the whole dynamic of the whole scene for the Oscars, and I can't wait to see who actually wins and how it goes down the day. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to actually mold things a little bit. I just think it sucks that this kind of happens like this, and I think that a lot of people were excited about it. It just kind of sucks that people suck, guys. That's what it is. People suck, and the business sucks sometimes, but we just got to navigate it and keep going and keep pushing and take one experience, even if it's negative or positive, use that fuel and move forward. That's all we can do.
People of all walks of life are capable of sucking.
It's true.
Yo, player, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when we are live. And if you are able to join our Patreon, please join. Because the Pepestar needs more snickety snacks. Because I'm hungry. Holla back. Love y'all.